Learned from the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvested. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in on August 31st, 2021, and Robinhood stock may collapse. And the market continued its run from Friday and is already looking at the next best thing. But we got a lot to talk about. I want to go over what happened in the market today. There was a lot of individual pieces of news. There was what happened with Robinhood, and we really need to talk about this because it did affect a lot of the other brokerages. But Gary Gensler, head of the SEC, said that banning payment for order flow is still on the table. So this has a lot of implications. We talked about it on stream. It may very well be kind of like a DIDI situation. It gets very, very interesting, but there was a lot of other little pieces of news. You got a travel ban and a bunch of other things, as well as the exit from Afghanistan. So definitely had a lot, but the market was really just focused on the positivity we got from Friday. The bear case has kind of faded away, but there are some things reemerging. So we got a lot to talk about. I got the plays, I got the keys, everything that we made today. I actually didn't make any trades, but I am looking at a couple for tomorrow and then everything else for the rest of the week. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description and it's pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/the-stock-market. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch the watch list come to life, and yes, if you understand how buying an NFT is like going vegan and you have to tell everybody about it when you do it, then yeah, we're the place to be. And the most important thing you need to do, post your watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything, post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So right off the bat, what you saw today was the Jackson Hole run up, and it is in full effect. So I talked about this beforehand. What I am really looking for is pretty much the end of the week, because last Jackson Hole, it was really, really positive leading into it. Then you had a run up afterwards, and then come the Friday where the data releases came out to kind of confirm or deny, that is when you saw the market react. So regardless of what we're seeing in the next few days, you are getting the new highs, you're getting this continuation, but whatever data we get with that jobs report on Friday, that is going to be the key. Now, as far as the news front, you got a lot of minor pieces of news, but the main thing was pretty much responding to the overall situation. If you watch the dollar and bonds, they both kind of had these unique little moves in there, and even if you look at all the other global indexes, everybody kind of did good, and it was just a lot of positioning or continued positioning from what you saw Friday and last week. If you remember the last 2 weeks, you had a lot of the Delta fears and everything else. We pointed that out. Then you had the Afghanistan situation last week. Here is the Delta. And then all the while, everybody was waiting for Jerome Powell and Jackson Hole. So it would make sense to see a lot of piling in back into this until we get the final confirmation on Friday. So a lot of what you saw today really looked a lot like Friday, where you kind of got the big run up and then it cooled out, except for today, you didn't end up edging a little bit higher. So we pretty much got what we saw at the end of the week, but now coming into this morning, and this is what I'm thinking as we start moving forward, especially as the Afghan situation starts to wind down, I am looking for Delta to take headlines in the meantime up until we get that jobs report on Friday. And what you could see here, this is the 14-day like cases or the rate per 1,000 people, and you're starting to see it tick back up. But last time in June, when we fell below a certain threshold, that is when you saw the EU lift those travel restrictions for U.S. residents. Well, today they put those back on. It did affect the airlines, but like I've been bringing up here, remember how the Delta headlines and kind of this threat to the reopening trade played out. You are starting to get that again, and we are going to start seeing that news. So depending on how the market responds or certain industries, that will be very, very important this week. So other than that, it was a very straightforward day. Again, there was a lot of little minor events. We'll get that to the company news and events, but the first one, a lot of people are definitely watching this, but the U.S. has now officially left Afghanistan. The last evacuation plane is already in the air. It's on its way to wherever its destination is, but there will be no more flights leaving. The only United States citizen or anybody who we had an obligation to that are remaining, those are the people who have chosen to stay for whatever reason. So that's the official government report. Hopefully it doesn't lead to any more issues, but that is what we're going to be watching here. But then I wouldn't be surprised to kind of start putting this sort of news on the back burner. We we will see what happens. So that was key. Another one, we got it right in the morning. We were talking about it yesterday on the watch list, but it went a step further. China instituted another ban, and this time on the gaming industry, and it's targeted towards minors, and they decided to limit minors to no more than 3 hours of video gaming a week. It affected some of the stocks or the gaming stocks in China like Billy and NetEase, and given the nature of it, it kind of just overshadowed the fact that there was still a couple of other Chinese restrictions that were put in place on other industries like the financial influencers and stuff like that. So we got some of that news. Then PayPal, this sent the stock shooting up throughout the day. It was an awesome play. We got to alert it. I didn't get to make a play, but some of you guys jumped all over it. But PayPal unveiled plans to start a new brokerage and allow stock trading. So some people think it could affect Robinhood. And now this is kind of part of that title here with Robinhood, because this was the first drop that you saw today. It's kind of funny when you look at the chart. You could see here as the news started to come out, Robinhood had a really, really big decline, and it looked like that was it. But then the payment for order flow, that's what really sent things going down. But as far as PayPal, that news was very, very good for them. It sent the stock moving up. If the premiums didn't go up so much and they even held up there, I will look at it as a backup play, but it is definitely elevated. And now I am expecting, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Square's platform, they allow stock trading to some degree. So I think some people are expecting a brokerage out of PayPal, whereas I would expect something more along the lines of what Square has done. But that was a key piece of news. And then Robinhood, as well as other brokers like Charles Schwab, they dropped very big on news that Gensler hinted at payment for order flow not being off the table. So there's been a lot of back and forth with this, but now this is what I was saying in the beginning of the video, and this is really key. Robinhood may turn into a DIDI situation. Think about it. They just IPO'd, but a big portion of their business, yes, they make money on crypto, but they're still not charging the fees as much as they're making money on this order flow and how they do things. I mean, it is pretty complex with what they're doing, but they just go public, and now you have everybody invested into it. And I don't know if people are still on the lockup, but now if their primary source of business gets halted, this could really be the dagger, or at least it could kind of poison the stock for a little bit and affect some of that trading. So depending on how this plays out, that news will be important. I will definitely be watching Robinhood as it starts to move over the next few days and weeks, but it is definitely one you're going to have to watch out for. So keep your eye on that. Then Apple, they are planning to add satellite features to their iPhone. So this news came after hours, but leading into it even today, if some of you guys saw GSAT, they were rumored by an analyst, Ming-Chi Kuo. I don't know how to say it. I probably butchered it, but he gave an analyst comment over the weekend saying that Apple would actually get into this industry, and he said that GSAT would be a part of it. So that's why GSAT is up. Apple confirmed the feature, but not the company. So depending on how this plays out, it will be very interesting, and it is a huge step in a different direction for Apple. Instead of using cellular networks, it is now accessing the satellites, but they plan to only do this for emergency services. So Apple also hit $2.5 trillion market cap today, is now the leader out of all the FANG stocks. So depending on what it does over the next few days, that will be key. Moving into the UK, we already talked about this one. It is very important. You saw the airlines get affected, and depending on how this plays out, this is what I'm going to tie into this week with any of the Delta news. But the UK has limited travelers from the United States due to the daily cases, and then you even got a report that the US is looking to make some other limitations as well, so we'll see what happens. But now coming into the hurricane, the levees held in Ida. This was a big test. Louisiana had a new levee system since Katrina. That held up. The power didn't, and power went out, and it looks like so far that gas prices were the only thing that went crazy and are expected to. So we will be monitoring the situation. Depending on how this plays out, it could emerge as something big, but this one may quickly fall to the back burner as far as the markets are concerned. Then on the virus side, the PFE BioNTech vaccine has gotten the recommendation from the CDC advisory panel. It is still awaiting the CDC director to give it the full nod, but this is looking good considering they got the approval last week, and now you're getting more moves with this, so I would watch that stock. And then finally, Burning Man. This is like the Coachella event. They're not having it this year, and they've decided to go virtual through virtual reality headsets. So I thought it was kind of important. A lot of people, even on Wall Street, go there. I'm pretty sure you saw a funny one with Ray Dalio last year, But overall, this just kind of highlights the overall sentiment towards COVID and in general, how some of these new developments and flip-flop between back to work, not back to work events on and off and all that, we are still seeing that. So keep that in mind. But all in all, it looks like a very simple week. We need to watch the volume. I would not be surprised to start seeing volume start to pick up as we get into September, but it's very clear here, depending on that data on Friday, we may get some pretty big moves and the market may make its decision coming into the end of the year. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 different stocks that I'm looking at coming into tomorrow. We already talked about a few, and then some did come up from last week, but that first one is going to be WDC. You got the news of their merger with Xiaomi or whatever, that LG spinoff or whatever, Toshiba spinoff. They have had a long history with the company. A lot of analysts are talking about this, but I think we're kind of getting a news lag from last week. If you even saw the chip makers today, they did not do that good. So you didn't really get much movement with the stock, but that deal is still in play, and it is going to have a lot of hurdles. So I just think it is going to be a good one to watch. I don't have any plays on it. If you remember last week, all we did was grab that Micron play. So I'm going to be watching the chip makers tomorrow, but specifically WDC, I want to see how that plays out. And if there is an opportunity with the contracts, we may be able to take advantage of it. Now, that's going to be the first play, but the second one is Robinhood. I don't have a play on this one. Remember, we had an older put, but I'm pretty sure that one expired. But I really want to watch this because, like I'm saying, depending on what the SEC does with that, the fact that there was a lot of rumors saying that payment for order flow was off the table, then the stock went up, and now Gensler is saying it's still on the table. I don't think he would say that for no reason. He seems like a pretty articulate guy. You know, he went to MIT, and he chooses his words very careful. So I think he knows the effect that it would have if he said something like that. So I really, really want to watch out for that. I think the premiums are going to be expensive, but depending on how the cards fall as far as the news and the back and forth, I really think this could be huge. So the fact that the premiums are up, I am going to be a little bit more hesitant, but I do want to watch and see if we can set up some sort of play or maybe even sell some premium. We will see what happens, but that's the second one. And then finally, the third play is going to be Myrna. So the puts that we got last week, those September 3rds out of the money, they are down 50%. I only put in like 40 or 50 bucks, so nothing too crazy, but the stock did go down about 3-4% today. It was all over the place. The headlines weren't that good. We are getting the approvals, so I am going to look for some plays on this. And the best part about all of these, I don't have plays on any of these, so these are ones I'm going to be looking at tomorrow. I didn't make any other plays, so we will see, but given kind of the nature of the market, I am going to take it a little bit slow. But Myrna is looking a little bit weak, and depending on how the virus concerns play out this week, I think that is going to be the real kicker there. So coming to the chart, you could see it's kind of fallen off there. It's done this before, but it's been able to chill out, so maybe even selling premium may be the W play. We'll see how that plays out. But then, like I'm saying, with some of the options there, if you come to those Myrnas, I'm down 20 bucks. So I only put $40 in for these 280 puts, still down 50%. That means it made a move in this direction. The premiums are still low. It could offer some level of opportunity, but we need the stock to move, and depending on the news this week, that is what is going to make it difficult. So those are going to be the main plays. As far as everything else, watch Zoom. They had a really bad earnings. They're really worried about the return to office and all that. It's honestly kind of contradicting, and I think it puts them in a really, really awkward middle, but this is definitely going to be a play. They were pricing in a pretty big amount, 8%, so they already moved 10%, but that 8% was pricing for the full week. So these contracts should go up tomorrow. People are definitely going to be looking at it. Depending on how some of the other headlines play, we will see. But if you remember, Zoom has been at this level. It's kind of had support. If anything, this stock reminds me a lot of Baba, if you haven't noticed the difference. So it still has time to catch up a little bit, but the difference is Baba is the one that kind of broke through some of these earlier lows. You can see right there where Zoom hasn't, but Zoom did outpace. So I want to see how this one plays out. I think Zoom is in a very interesting spot, so watch out for them. Then watch Apple. Again, it is the market leader now, the biggest company in the world. They went up 3%, so this was a very, very big move along with Amazon. Then I'm going to be watching UAL. I said this one was a confusing move, but it did end up making sense in the context of what we got today with some of the travel bans. But watch travel in general. That was actually one of the more weaker industries this month, or either this week or even this day even. So keep your eye out for that. I'm going to be watching out for them. Affirm, I'm still holding that play. I did not sell out of it, but we are still up about 1,100%. So $55 into about 630, 690. It was going for about 700, but I could have ghetto spreaded it. I could have even sold, but I decided to hold because the news was good. It's kind of isolated from everything else, and the fact is, even leading up to this, it really wouldn't move too much. So I'll give it one more day. We'll see with the continuation, but it did hold up pretty decent, especially in the realm of a lot of tech stocks and even Amazon moving today. So watch out for that one. We are still in that one, and that's on the table. Then Win, they had news that they're looking to even use some shares for purchases, as well as some sports gambling one, but I really want to watch how they play out. I think they're at an interesting middle, and again, you are going to get the Macau gaming numbers this week, so watch them. Watch Coinbase. I wanted to make a play on this one. This was like one of my runner-up plays. I am going to be watching it. I just have liked how it's been. I just hate how it doesn't move too much, but with kind of crypto and Ethereum picking up, even though Bitcoin's lagging a little bit, you're getting a lot of activity in the NFT space, the altcoin space, all of that. The App Store downloads are starting to kind of come back here, so I think it could be very decent, but we will see how that one plays out. And then Robinhood, like we said, then Myrna, JD, I'm still in this play. They were up a little bit more this morning, but then they came down. So all of the China stocks bounced, even though they kind of woke up a little bit in the red. So keep your eye out for that. I don't think the onslaught of news is over just yet. Then NVIDIA, a couple companies came out today opposing the ARM deal, so we'll see how that one plays out. But just in the general nature of the chip makers, I want to watch them, and I think their ex-dividend was today, so watch them. And that's what reminds me here, UWMC, going to be watching them. We got some pretty poor real estate data that has actually surprised, so maybe they have been leading and in general with kind of the bond market, but they have ex-dividend coming up. I want to see if this could initiate a little minor short squeeze, so watch them. Then Expedia, want to keep my eye out for them. They're travel related. If you saw some of the airlines, like I pulled up that 1-2 year chart, Expedia is kind of a little bit higher up, so they're in an interesting spot, but they are directly linked to what is going on with kind of the airlines and all of that. So going to be keeping my eye out for them as kind of a indicator more so than a play. And then Uber, they dropped really, really big, fell below 40. This one, we got a long-term deposit coming in, so depending on its price here, them, UWMC, even Airbnb, all of those are going to be on the table, but Uber and Lyft were down, so I thought it was an interesting effect. Going to be watching out for them. And then finally, TLT and the dollar. Bonds surprisingly crept up as the market went up, and so did the dollar. Now, this was that effect I was looking for on Friday, but we saw it here today, not so much on Friday. I would watch for this to play out, because what we may see, depending on the data, if the dollar and bonds move up and we kind of get a melt up into the end of the week, and then we finally see them all move, we might watch them all move in tandem. So if the dollar or TLT moves big downside, I would watch for it to kind of start affecting the market here. If not, then we're going to have to wait and see what the jobs report does to give us confirmation. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure Hydra Hilty ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shine. I need you to remember, if the Ravens are taken care of, you're going to be good, baby. But Nicole loves you. I love you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.